This week, we got a brand new episode of Helluva Boss, and today we're going to be talking about whether or not Blitz and Stolas will be breaking up with each other. But before we do, I just want to let you guys know that we've got two Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss videos already up for our early access YouTube membership club. You can sign up with the join button down below for just $4.99 a month to get early access to this and every other video we put up on the channel early. Now, when the episode ended, Stolas had opened a book from Osmodius, revealing a page about Osmodian crystals, items often disguised as jewelries that succubus and other such demons can use to go up to Earth with ease. Up until now, any relationship that Stolas and Blitz had was predicated on their arrangement over the grimoire. Stolas let Blitz have it, and in return Blitz would return it so he could perform his monthly full moon ceremonies. An Asmodian crystal looks like it would be easier to use and even more legal for Blitz than using the grimoire meant specifically for Stolas, with lots of other spells for his duties as a prince of the Goetia. Of course, Stolas could have traded this to Blitz from the very beginning, but if he had done that, Blitz would have run off with the crystal and never talked to Stolas again, or at the very least would have really played hard to get for some time. Even though it would have been better for everyone, Stolas decided to risk everything by letting Blitz have the grimoire because Blitz knew Stolas would need it back regularly for his work, forcing Blitz to at least show up and maintain his part of the bargain. At the time the episode aired, I had no idea what the Asmodian crystals would be for and thought maybe Stolas would be using it to take a vacation to Earth and get away from Blitz, but on Twitter, user @Milleria theorized it was to give Blitz, and that makes a lot more sense. Stolas, of course, after all of this, has realized that what he had with Blitz was not real, and it was time to let him go, and the episode really emphasized that. With his own Asmodian crystals, Stolas would tell Blitz to go out and do his work and not worry about seeing Stolas monthly, giving them a chance to figure out who they really are without each other. Stolas won't vanish entirely, of course, and they will constantly have excuses for Stolas and Blitz to run into each other in the show, even in Hollywood as seen in the Season 2 animatic. In that time, they will get to see how they act when Stolas isn't shouting vulgarities and Blitz isn't forcing a sexual persona to keep Stolas interested, but before they can actually come back together, Stolas and Blitz are going to need to deconstruct their own issues, a lot of which was brought to light in this episode. We saw in Stolas' palace portraits that he had a special stuffed imp that he held in higher regard than his many other stuffed toys. Stolas did not have any friends, so the closest thing he had to a friend was this stuffed imp, who he would project all of the fantasies of fun onto. When he finally went to the circus, he was not as interested in the imps as you might think, and instead only seemed to be interested in young Blitz in particular, whereas most people enjoyed the comedic stylings of young Fizzarali. Stolas' father Paimon ended up buying Blitz for the day to be Stolas' best friend and celebrate his birthday, which is a very deliberate way to illustrate that Paimon is an absent father who only ever used money and influence to substitute actual interaction with his son. This lack of love from his father amplified Stolas' fixation with Blitz over the years, as going forward, it was going to be one of Stolas' fondest memories, and ones he still associated with his father as he was the one that made it possible. While it was an act of Paimon trying to keep his distance from Stolas and not have to interact with him very much himself, the fun he had with Blitz was the closest he would get to having fun with his father, so he's going to associate the two with each other to some degree. We saw that Paimon wasn't afraid to outright hit Stolas in front of Blitz and his father, nor did Stella seem afraid to come at Stolas with a backhand slap once we jump back to their altercation on the balcony in the present. It seems that Paimon had Stolas trained that violence towards him was okay if it was motivated by Stolas not living up to his standards of Goetian nobility, and thus accepted it anytime Stella would attack him with criticisms or a snide remark. While he does not love Stella, nor may he love his father Paimon, he tries to treat them with love, and has thus begun to associate those physical attacks as part of what it means to love him. In Blitz, we get a sort of perfection of these various elements. While Stolas accuses Blitz of sneaking in to seduce him, he's just trying to be flirty, and quickly retreats when Blitz decides to take advantage of Stolas' obvious interest in him. Stolas more or less has to guide Blitz into being confident and forceful with him before Blitz finally gives in to his fighter instincts, giving Stolas what he wanted, that sense of violence he gets from the people he tries his best to love, but through his fantasy idea of a childhood friend that was already itself just a projection of a stuffed animal onto an imp who just so happened to resonate with Stolas. Stolas letting Blitz go with an Asmodean crystal shows that he is ready to stop living in the fantasy he has built up about him and Blitz, and open up to the reality that Blitz is more or less faking all of the things that Stolas loves about him. Season 2 will likely see him deconstructing this fantasy, and by the end of the series, I'm sure the two will be together in something of a more serious relationship. Blitz, of course, might have to work through his own issues too before that can happen, with a lot more of this to be explored in future episodes, but quite a bit introduced in this one as well. Blitz has his own history of awkward relationships, starting seemingly with an interest in Fizarali, leading into a romance with Verosika while being her bodyguard, and then letting himself get taken advantage of by Stolas and Stryker more recently. Blitz feels used, but also tends to use people, and like those people, he is starting to realize that perhaps he played a hand in that, not just by going to steal Stolas' grimoire, but in going back to actually sleep with Stolas for the whole night. Blitz is a complex character, and sleeping with Stolas meant something different to him than it did for Stolas, and of course, Blitz was robbing Stolas during this, so it isn't a question of who is a bad person or who wronged who, they're both demons in hell. Even as Stolas was being robbed of his grimoire, he seemed to be pretty aware of it. While he joked about Blitz sneaking into Ravagem, he knew that Blitz had robbed his mansion when he was a kid, and that's exactly what was going on here again. The point is that this is a case of two people trying to take advantage of each other and giving a little bit more than they both expected. While we have outlined Stolas as having a history of being taken advantage of before, Blitz wasn't much luckier in his childhood either. If Blitz had been caught stealing by Paimon, he likely would have died or been turned to stone, but Blitz's father put him in that danger and emotionally manipulated Blitz into doing it despite Blitz's validated fears. Blitz's entire personality has become doing things in order to keep the people around him happy. He actually slept with Stolas instead of robbing him in order to start his business, but he kept coming back every month in order to keep Luna, Millie, and Moxie employed. This is something I imagine Blitz will be working on throughout the series, but it doesn't have to be resolved before he gets back together with Stolas. There is this idea these days that you have to have all of your personal issues sorted out before you can get into a relationship with someone, but that's never really been the case. Yes, the relationship will have to deal with those issues, but we are always going to be working through our issues in life, and two flawed people can have a lot to work on together without it having to devolve into toxicity. So who knows, maybe they'll get back together by the end of the show, maybe it will be by the end of the season, or perhaps it'll be the very end of episode 2. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down below, and as always, if you want to chat with me and my other online friends about Hazbin Hotel, come join us in our Hazbin Lore Discord server. And for those who haven't seen it, click here to watch our 500,000 subscribers special, Cartoon Universe The Movie Deep Cuts Day Off, a little parody trailer I put together for fun. See you guys next time.